Okay, we're back here. So I decided not to take a break at all and just get back into this. The issue that we had with the last video with this crash report is a null point exception on this line because it's trying to take a piece of ammo out of the clip. It's probably a little bit of work needs to be done on this to make sure this doesn't happen again. But the easy thing is we had put a true statement down on has ammo because I wanted to make sure the AIs work properly. But that was incorrect way to handle this because what we were simply saying when we call has ammo, do we have a clip? And we do not have a clip. So this actually needs to be changed. This instead of called has ammo is has magazine maybe. Has mag with ammo. This will be a little bit less ambiguous because has ammo is like, do we have chambered rounds? Do we have clip? Do we have a magazine? Do we have something that's giving us ammo? And how we're going to do this is has magazine. So if we have a magazine attached to us, a magazine is going to literally count as anything attached to that weapon that is giving it ammo. That could be a belt, that could be a clip, that could be a mag, that could be a dropper, hopper system, a feed of any kind. So that will leave less confusion, and we won't, in theory, run around and go like, oh, well, we're going to use the has ammo check to make sure the AIs function. This is also why I kind of need to get the gun instance to be interface driven here eventually, because then we could custom make a gun instance for the player and then custom make a gun instance that is designed exclusively for non-player objects to use. Because there is a bit of math in here that is designed for the player specifically, and we want to fix that. That needs to be something that needs to be adjusted and taken into account for. That's one of the main reasons why you saw the math kind of break when I was holding the gun for the player, is I think I had made an adjustment to it to fix for the sentry gun, and because I fixed the sentry gun's math, I broke the player's math, and that means those two math segments need to be separated from each other, so there's no chance of breakage. But getting back to this, we want to get the laser sentry gun working because if I get this working, that I can throw the mod out for release, and you guys can just use the laser sentry gun while I work on the ammunition based ones. After all, the laser-based sentry gun is not going to be too expensive. Like, probably going to use the original recipe, which was, I think, glass and circuit boards and stuff. The reality of it is, in real life, lasers are not the most really that expensive to start with. They're just made out of rare resources. And I think you can make a neon-based laser gun. I probably could go down to a pawn shop, buy a whole bunch of junk, put it together, and make a laser powerful enough maybe to burn wood. I would say metal, but I would definitely need a bigger power supply. I would start to have to get up into the 100k watt range, and I do not think my residential power line can take that kind of power. I can barely take my computer equipment. Like, I trip the breaker every few days in here when I do things. Okay, so we have no ammo. We're stuck on a reload cycle. Oh, come on, Tez. You've been fed and I let you outside. No whining. That's literally why I broke the last video, is this dog was whining at me. No, I'm not paying attention to you. I fed you, I gave you water, and I let you outside. Let's see. No, go. Shoo. Let's see. Where were we? Okay, so get chambered round is returning null. Okay, so we just... Before I do this, I'm going to break all the other sentry guns because I don't want interference while I'm working on this one. Haha, look at that. All the entities are still there. Yeah, there's not an invalidation check, so we'll have to restart real quick. I will fix that here in a bit. Actually, I can fix that. Well, no, I have to restart the game to fix that. Hopefully, I'll just remember that I need to do that. So we've got this guy. He needs to reload. So he hits this check. And then, yeah, because it says chambered round doesn't equal null. Or, yeah. So we're going to hit that again. And we're going to go into, so has ammo is going to return null. So we want to just exit out of that. We're going to go back in here. Override round equals null as well. This should be forced. by the logic system. So we're going to come out of this real quick. I need to look at the sentry data. So we got the sentry data, got the gun data, the ammo data didn't load. So I am going to hit play real quick, which is going to just hit that line again. Hit play again. We're going to close. We're going to go fix that bug with the tiles not invalidating real quick while I'm at it before I forget. That's a really simple adjustment. I just have to go find the tiles. And once the dog figured out I wasn't going to give her anything, she just actually wandered off and went back to sleep. That dog has learned way too many psychological tricks. Let's see. I lost my train of thought for a second. This is what we want though. So we want to go every single time our tile invalidates. We want to go, okay, if we have an entity, so we want to go get entity sentry doesn't equal null. And then we want to go world.remove get entity sentry. And yeah, that'll fix it right there, because what is happening is the entity is still alive, the entity is still ticking, and the entity doesn't understand how to kill itself off because it doesn't understand what its host is, and that's intentional. So we want to make sure we remove our entity if our host dies. So in this case, invalidate should be called anytime a sentry gun invalidates, and it'll just poof, gone. So that should fix that an issue. Now we need to figure out why our ammo data didn't load, most likely because I probably didn't initialize it. So let's close this, open this up, laser, sentry. Yeah, it's not in here. We got an ammo type, we got a reload type, but in here, we got to specify ammo. So we need, I believe it is called ammo data. We're going to go find the processor real quick just to check this. I made a change to the sentry in order to make this work too. It now extends gun, and gun extends ammo. Or rather, it already extended gun, and I made gun extend ammo. That way, this will always load after munitions. Because ammo is separated from gun in the first place. They were both basically loading in parallel to start with. But now they've loaded in series with each other. And ammo data, yep, right there. So this does, yeah, just a key. So we need to content, ammo, energy, and our ammo name is laser. We'll probably make our own damaged ammo type for the sentry gun, but we're going to start with this. What? Oh, my intern's begging for items. He really shouldn't be doing that, but I don't care. That should work. Because I believe that's its ID. No, its ID is Armory Laser. What we could have done is we could have just specified an ammo type here and then just grab the first ammo, or grab the first thing we want, but we want to be more specific. So we're going to run this and see what happens. And then we'll probably make a custom for this because I want to control the damage for the sentry gun. And just utilizing a parent sentry or using a parent laser object is not very good. It'll work for most people because I want to be able to fill this entire ammo. That's the reason why I've got these types in here, is I want to get every type of ammunition we have on the planet pretty much. Within reason, if there's like literally a couple types and they're like identical to each other, then there's only going to be one type in here. And then I want to get some starting munitions. So there'll be like basic ammo types. So there'll be just your normal rounds, and then there'll probably maybe be some APC rounds. And they'll go in here. So right, like 12 gauge. I'm going to get rid of these elite and advanced out of here. These are just for testing. But what's going to end up going in there, you'll see buckshot, you'll see deer slugs, there'll be enough ammo in there that when you open up the tab, you'll see a ton of munition already for guns, and all somebody has to do is come in and go, I want to make this shotgun. If it's a 12 gauge, automatically gets all that 12 gauge ammunitions. If it needs its own custom ammo, all it's got to do is specify it needs custom ammo. But if it wants to recycle a common standard ammo, which is what a 12 gauge is, or a 9 mil or 10 mil, those are standard ammunition types. Actually, 10 mils aren't really standard. I haven't really seen a gun with a 10 mil before. That's more of a video game thing. Standard NATO rounds. And we'll toss those all in there because even though they'll load, they won't have recipes, or actually they may have recipes because it's not too hard to do that. I'll figure that out. Maybe there'll be you know what there'll be? There'll be a toggle load system. So there'll be a JSON file where you can say I want to load this type of munition. Oh, look at that. It's sort of functioning. It's at least trying to, at least. I think our next tick, because it now knows it's not needing to reload. So we're not a reload cycle. Target, find targets. It's firing at the target. And here's our problem right here. So we want to go, if get chambered around doesn't equal null. We got to remove that audio. Working. That's basically a laser-based sentry gun there. So what we got to do is we just got to do a particle effect for it. And yeah. Let's get rid of some of these debug particle effects while we're at it. So let me hit close and save. I need to kill that audio off because that will drive me nuts. I quite literally mean that. Okay, that's handled down here. We want to leave this here because this is what we're going to use. This is going to be armory dot laser is what we're going to call it. And then we need extra MBT data here. So we're going to start on the MBT system because I feel brave. I gotta think of how to do this. Actually, I need to see how it's read in. So we have a shockwave system, and that's what we're gonna go copy, and it's in Volts Engine. So that actually means this is probably gonna be a Volts Engine thing. So it'll be Volts Engine laser. Thing with the Volts Engine laser system is it requires a start point, end point. Oh no, we're good there because our start point would be no. Complicated this is because there's no easy way to make this reusable. Because what we pass in right now is the aim, which is what we use for velocity. So we're going to need some kind of callback system. So we're going to need to edit our effect system to be somewhat intelligent. Is an easy way to put it. So we're going to go to MC, we're going to go to client. We got effects. We got our effect provider. And what we're going to do is we just need to make a new provider here. So the BV provider laser beam. And this is just going to be called laser because I'm not inventive. So right now we pass an X, Y, Z. Then this is your velocity. Now the ideal way to handle this would be to pass the velocity in with something. Anyways, we need to spawn a laser. So it'd be fx beam is what it's called. And it's got a resource location on it, so we're gonna want to borrow this. So that'll give us a nice looking beam. It's got a world, it's got a start position, end position, collar, and amount of ticks it's going to stay alive. So we're going to have to figure out a collar. So by default, we're going to do collar.red. And then we're going to go if other data doesn't equal null. And we're also going to do life ticks equals 1. And then this is going to be new pos x, y, z, and this will be new pos mx dot my dot mz. And then I believe it was collar and then life ticks. We want to get rid of all of this, and then we want to spawn our laser. And then we want to import this so we get our thing. We are missing something here. We're missing the world. Okay, so this world, there we go. So if other data doesn't equal null, we want to go if it has color, I guess. How are we reading color in for shockwave? Red, blue, green. Okay, we're going to keep with that. And those are floats. We're going to handle 2 ways for doing this, because I hate using the floats, but the floats do work. So we want to go if other data dot has key red, and then we're just going to read it all in. And this would be, these will be integers because there's no way to do this via floats. Because if I read it into floats, I got to basically turn it into an integer to turn it into a collar, just to turn it back into a float-based system. This would be collar equals new collar. And then we would go else if other data dot has key collar. And we just want to go new collar and then get integer collar. And this will be an RGB value is what this is. So that should do the trick. We should get some kind of result, and then all we have to do is put in some value into our color array. There's got to be a distinction on how to handle this. So we're going to have to do an effect-based system, or we're going to have to modify an effect-based system. So we got effect data. Right now it has NBT. We're going to read in the NBT here eventually. Right now we're just going to leave it to default to red. And I'm getting more emails from that job. Oh, I don't know why he's spamming me. So we want to I could handle this in a multitude of different ways. What I could do client side is I could fire a ray trace client side to figure out how far this beam is going to render. Or I could pass the data into the NBT to get it, or I could do some kind of Boolean that says, okay, instead of passing me velocity, pass me an endpoint. We're gonna do the third one first, because the other ones, even though they would provide some unique, interesting things, use endpoint rather endpoint for velocity. And this is not a final variable. So we want to actually put this down here, and this will be false by default. And then we would go to our JSON processor, and we would go if object.has use endpoint, then we would go, oh, we have to make the object here. So we're going to do this, effect data, data equals that, then data. You want to go data dot use endpoint equals object dot get as boolean. And then we just grab this real quick. So we go use endpoint, and we want to go to our sentry object here. Probably isn't going to help any. So we'll do that. MBT, we want to, yeah, we'll do MBT later. Right now we'll just leave it empty. All the effect data is client side. This is what makes this really dumb and really hard to deal with. Anyways, I'm going to close out these other objects really quick. I'm going to then reopen the gun object, even though I closed it, because I need to go look at how it's handling the packets. So we want data, ranged, gun instance. Okay, so we, in here somewhere is where we fire the packet off to send effect packets to the client. Somewhere in here. Okay, here we go. Play effect. And yeah, there's no handling for this stuff. A lot of work I probably got to do to even make this work properly anyways. I have an ideal. So MBT tag compound, MBT equals new MBT tag compound. And we would go MBT dot set tag endpoint. I have a better ideal. Okay, so what we are doing right now is we're firing the laser, or we're trying to fire the laser event when we fire the weapon. What we could do is we could fire the laser on impact. So only when we impact something. No, that has its own side effects and problems. Instead of passing MX in here, we could pass endpoint. So let's see. Shoot, there's just no easy way to do this. We need an extra data variable, so we need here this. So boolean endpoint. Then we're going to do endpoint down here. So what we're specifying is, so this will be false. Actually, you know what we're going to do, boolean here to endpoint. So we're going to specify what we're passing in, because then if we go in the client and we go, okay, this is an endpoint versus something, we can normalize the endpoint to get the aim, is what we could do. It's a little bit more complicated. but it will provide the result we are looking for. Just takes a little bit of tweaking. Actually, we want a packet variable in here, so we're going to want to do protected boolean endpoint equals false. And what we do is packet.endpoint equals endpoint. Then we're going to come over here and we want to go buffer.write boolean endpoint, and then we want to go endpoint equals buffer.read boolean. Somebody made some nice food because I can smell it. Let's see. Got that. I need to go to the client because the client's going to error out, and there's a couple other spots that are going to error out here. So this is where I wanted to do this because we want to do something in here. We're going to create a different event. So this is going to be false here. Then we're going to do this. And we're going to come down here to the ray trace. And we want to go on ray fired. Because we can go start, we can go end, and we can say true. And we want to do this. So I'm going to go round fired ray. Ray trace. This is the ray trace version of the round fire. And so we want to go, we're doing this if the hit doesn't fire, we want to run the start and end. And then if our hit, we do get a hit, we want to run start and then new pause hit vec. And then this way we get our ray trace. So we get two different versions of this. These are both result in pretty much the same the functionality. Says there's still an error in here, so I'm going to hit build, make project, and get all of our errors. Here we go. So we would hit boolean endpoint, and keep in mind that our packet handling is actually handled by the packet itself, so we still have a little bit of work to do. So this is where we go here. And we need to change our system here. So we're going to go boolean movement is endpoint is what we're going to call this. And we just have to go through and update some of our systems. So we put this here. And we are pretty much just going to always assume this is an endpoint on here, but we're setting the code up in case we want to make some complicated systems. So we're going to hit build, make project. There's going to be errors we're going to have to correct for a couple minutes until we get this running. This doesn't care if this is an endpoint because, actually this would. The reason this cares is we have a movement speed system here. How you do this, and we can do this real quick. So we want to go if movement is endpoint, then we're going to go pause equals new pause mx my mz dot normalize. So what we're doing is we're going to get the magnitude, and we're going to subtract x, y, and z. So we want to get the distance between these two. Then we want to normalize. That will get us our velocity. So then we can just go mx equals pause.x, my equals pause.y, and then mz equals pause.z. So we get the distance between these two as a vector, and then with that vector we normalize. So then what if we had a distance of 100, but we were only moving 100 in the y, our y value turns into a 1. So that we know we are only moving that direction in a 1. At least that's in theory how this works. There will be a few other variables we would want to apply. Like there might be a velocity thing. What this will literally do, this will force our velocity to be a 1, but then this is a directional component. So what we also could do is if other data dot has a vel, then we could actually come down here and we can go pos equals pos dot multiply other data dot get float vel. And then that lets us customize and control that and etc. But when it comes to the laser only cares for a start point and end point because it's not velocity based. Cool. So now we need to come down here and do play effect other, and we want to do endpoint is what needs to be here. A few other things we need to do. I actually need to come up with a system to zip other data together to utilize with our existing data. So we have an effect system that gets fired. But say we had data we're sending with the ABT to customize via the server, and then we have data that we want to customize via our packet. We want to merge with prioritization on the JSON data. And I don't know how to do that, but we need to implement it because it has to happen, or else we will get some weird results. In theory, in a perfect world, we won't have overlap. Anyways, a few other spots. Yeah, here's a spot that needs to be fixed. So this will be trigger, and we need to put some stuff here. So boolean endpoint, and this will be endpoint, and then we want to do boolean endpoint. And of course we would want to put endpoint down here as well. And then what else we got? Here's a spot that needs to be fixed. This is our smoke particle, and we want to do the same thing we did for our other system. We'll prefab that out because that's going to be reused a couple times. So we got this here. And what we will do is we'll come up to here. We're going to create a new method. So we're going to create public void. Actually, we'll do it here. So we're going to put it here. And we'll come up with a method like this. Put it down here. This will also support legacy, so if you load up an older version, it won't crash. And what we want to do is so we display. My fingers want to work. So this handles translation for us automatically. And then all we have to do is come up into something like, we have to handle this as well. So this is endpoint. So we got JSON shockwave. Why do I feel like, I pulled this out here. So I need to do this. Not that the shockwave moves, I don't think. It kind of does, but it's not supposed to. And then we remove this out of here, and this will auto-translate as well. Cool. And then we hit build so we can find other errors from renaming things. For those that were expecting exciting things in these videos, this is the sad truth of development. There's a lot of back-end work like this. And it looks like everything compiled. So now we go back to working on our laser. So I want to close this, 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 and this. I think everything's good. Yeah, looks good. We just need to register it now. So I need to figure out where this guy's registered. Which is right here. Add effect. and then we want to go laser beam. And that works, because I mean, we can keep piling effects in here, so every effect I possibly have, even the vanilla ones, we can pile in here. And anytime we need to make customizations, we can do that, and all we have to do is just call them from the JSON data. So I need to, of course, open the JSON data again, because I neglected to remember I needed to open it again. So close this, open this, content, then we want the laser turret, and we want the sentry on the laser turret. And we want the effect, so we want fire to ray trace is what we want. So we want to copy this piece here. So what we're doing is we want to fire the ray trace version of this, and we don't want the particle version. So there's going to be a particle version which is specifically designed to fire a particle, and then this will be the ray trace version. And then anytime you fire an entity, I expect the entity itself to be programmed to do particle effects, not the gun. So if you needed to fire like a rocket launcher and had a fire tail, that fire tail needs to be from the entity and not the rocket launcher. So we'll do trigger events for that later, because I still have to do that for the client's rocket launcher. I completely forgot about that. But we're going to do this, and then I'll get back to his work here later. This cool thing is I got a sentry gun done, and I just got to do some things, and then I get paid, and I can go pay my taxes, and bills, more bills, even more bills. So just wait for this to load real quick, and we'll call it into video once we get the laser rendering properly. We will have to do a double laser render from this. So we'll have to come up with another effect system, which is called probably like a layered render is what we're going to probably call it. And what it'll do is it'll be a wrapper for the effect, and it'll allow you to trigger multiple effects from a single effect call. And probably coded in Volt Engine, because it's probably where it has to be coded. We null pointed somewhere. Unsupported operator. I messed up here. This is needs to be get endpoint, then get boolean. I could be using the injection system here, but using the injection system for one thing is just not worth my time. Although there's a high possibility I'm probably going to build the injection system directly into the JSON processor class, so you know the thing we're extending up there. That's probably going to have the injection built into it. That way every single JSON system can access the injection system. Save so much time. There's a high likelihood that most of the processors will get to a point where the only thing that's required are final fields, and the only final fields that will be required are things like the name, the ID, and the mod that is, of course, that created it. And the mod itself is technically injected, but for anything that needs to be registered, it has to be set because the author tag may not be set correctly or something, and I don't want to enforce the author tag. Especially since the author tag does not actually mean that you authored it. It's usually most of the time used to declare what mod owns the content. And I may end up renaming it from author to mod, and then I make a separate author tag so that way we can go, here's the mod that owns this content, and then here's the person who actually made this content. Because I want to make sure we give credit, because after all, this is meant to be a content engine. This is meant to be something similar to the Skyrim engine that you can make content in it, and I want to make sure that people are recognized for their development. So when somebody picks up a gun and they click to look at the info on it, it'll go made by this person on this date, and etc. And maybe it'll give you a little bio about the person, so you could include a bio in your stuff. Most likely the bio would be on a website, so you would have to go and register, and it is killing things. We're looking for a red laser, by the way. Come on, something get closer. I didn't get to see that in time. I saw a blue and a green. I didn't see a red. Okay, so debug. Failed to find effect for fire to ray trace. Did we misname it? ICBM sentry. Sentry.laser.round.fired. Sentry, ICBM sentry. Ah, we're missing the laser part. So we're missing this. Actually, you know what? I'm just going to copy this whole thing. And I'm going to put it right here. Cool. Quit, and we got to reload again to see it. And of course, I need to make sure this actually renders 2 laser beams because that's how it's supposed to be designed. So there'll have to be some kind of offset system, and there'll be a dual layer system. And I got to think of how I'm going to design that. Because what that would come up to be is it would be some kind of object which would be called effect layer, or not to be called effect. It'll have a type. So it'll be, if the type isn't specified, it'll assume it's a normal effect. And then if you have a type specified, then it'll assume it's a layered. Or you know what? I'll do an array. So if it detects that the object is an array, then it'll assume by default it's a layer system. And then what you would do inside the effect, you would do an offset. So you would do an offset of the position so you can get your stuff to work correctly. And we need to do multiple effect firing too. So if you go to fire the round, maybe you want to fire smoke out of the injection ports and something else. Although the layered system will handle that. I won't have to do weird things for that. That's just a layered system. So we'll work on that here later. First thing though is get this working, and then I'm going to get myself some food because it's 3 o'clock and the only thing I ate was a bagel. If I was a small person, a bagel would do me all day. I'm unfortunately a 300-pound person, so food is required. Do some more audio for this too. Got to get all the audio implemented, more textures, more everything. Like most of the work when it comes to this mod is literally just going to be adding hooks and events and listeners and stuff. It's the reason why I really do want more developers help me out, because I want to focus on making really strong functionality, but I do need people to help me make content. We're not seeing the laser still. What are we looking at here? Failed to find. Okay, I think it is working because we're not seeing. Failed to find visual effect for Volts Engine laser. Probably because it's just called laser. So we're gonna have to reload this again. Blarg. This is why I need an in-game editor and reload system here eventually, which I don't know. I get ambitious. I might do it here later this week. Trying to avoid getting into any major projects. I want to start releasing this for alpha testing this week so you guys can go toy with it. And I want to get my work done on time. I only got this is the last week of my class, and then I can screw around to the 15th. So I literally get almost a month of vacation time, which for me is amazing because I haven't had a real vacation in I don't know how long. Although I'm, of course, not going to use that time for actual vacation. I may go visit a museum or something. I haven't done that in years. Last time I went to go try to visit a museum, I went to go do the Wright-Patterson one because I was doing a job interview down there, and unfortunately they wouldn't let me go take a tour. I was hoping to do a free tour, and they're like, "Now you got to pay." And I'm like, "Crap." It would have been fun. I mean, I like military stuff and looking at aircraft and etc. I wouldn't have stuck around for long though because I mean, I don't do the whole tour thing. I just want to stare at stuff. Maybe poke things. Smell the paint. I'm joking in the last one. Although I played a D&D game once where I had a character that licked the paint on a ship. Did not work out. Got yelled at by the GM repeatedly. That was a fun game though. It wasn't D&D. It was some kind of space game. I was playing a robot that was modeled after the Iron Giant, but not that big. He was supposed to be a construction robot that used to be a military robot, was abandoned, and then turned into a construction robot, and would have had 3 split personalities. But I got told I couldn't do that. He was cool though. I did do some really cool things like ballerina dance out of an airlock into another airlock. I got some style points for that. Okay, did it work? Nope. Nope. Okay. What are we is it failing still? Okay, I think it is working, so we need to now check to see if this is running. It is running. Other data is empty. Hear my dog snore viciously. Why isn't this running? Maybe the alpha's too strong. Let's try a little stronger gray. Life ticks might be too low. Let's set it to 2. Collar should be good. MX, what is MX? I need debugger. Debugger, debugger, debugger. You're not helping. Why are we on the... I lost all my debug info. There we go. I think this is what I need. Yeah, MX looks good. So endpoint's there. Endpoint set to true. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with it. Just why can't we see it though? Just add effect, laser, get shared asset, world, pause. I mean, everything looks good. I don't see anything wrong with this system. It's probably this part. We're going to do real quick just a test to see if that is actually indeed the problem, because maybe we're looking at an alpha laser. I'm going to pass in 1, 0, 0. That should give me my result. I think I saw a red laser there for a second. Still not getting anywhere with this. Okay. What is breaking? Okay, where is our position in the world? 2556, okay, that looks good. I'm gonna hit this line again. Okay, so 256 and like a negative 1,000 is where we're at. So debugger. Yeah, that looks good. The coordinates on the offset look good. We go into here. Didn't want to go in the new pause thing, but IntelliJ doesn't understand yet. I don't care about the variables. So we go in here. Just gotta initialize everything. Okay, we set the collar. Cool. No clip, motion. Okay, might be something wrong with the length here. So position, then target. Actually, doesn't really matter which one is which. It should still render. That all looks good. So we want to then test if it's getting an update call. That's the next thing to check. That we hit play. We are getting an update call. I mean, we know the laser works because we're pretty much watching it run, so I don't know why I'm sitting here testing it. Because it's telling me it's running. The problem is where it's running from is I can't figure out. I don't want you anymore. I know you work. So the next check is to make sure it's not, wait. I'm seeing multiple blue lasers. You know what? In order to test this properly, I gotta turn off the effect system for the debug. And I can do this really quick by doing this. Really dirty way to do it. I'll have to make sure I turn it back on here in a second. I saw a red laser there for like a minute amount of time. That's why we couldn't see it was in the middle of the blue laser. It's just its age isn't high enough. There we go. Yeah, saw it again. It's not being fired from the barrel offset position for some reason. We could fix this. Because I know what's causing that problem. But I'm going to call this an end of video because it's working. It's just I got to tweak it, and I'll tweak it and get back to you guys.